Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. First of all, we want to express our condolences with the people of Benue State. Very, very sad incidences we see coming from there. Can you please share with us how the governor is taking this? And we did see some of his comments from yesterday, where he had pointed fingers to a set of Malians whom he says are committing these heinous crimes. Can you share with us what else he said and what the plans are, most importantly?
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, for the condolences. On behalf of my people here in Benue State, my governor and the government, we'd like to thank you very sincerely. It's a very sad day, it's a very sad period for all of us in Benue. And as the governor spoke and has been talking about this, it has affected literally everything around our state. The killings affect mostly the rural dwellers who are the farmers. They are the ones that add a lot of value to the economy of the state. You're talking about food insecurity around the globe, and Benue State being the food basket of the nation is being attacked left, right, and center. Farmers can go to the farm. Even those who have been able to farm and put stuff together are being chased out of where they are. They become IDPs in their own homes, and all of that. It's quite a sad situation. We've had quite a number of killings around the state, but the first thing we know is this is not a situation affecting only Benue State. We know that it is an orchestrated plan to displace the whole of Nigeria. This thing is affecting and is coming into the country from every side, from every end. No state has been left out, just maybe quite a few that have not gone under the knife of these attackers who coming from all quarters because of our porous borders and all of that. They come in and begin to attack helpless and defenseless people, mostly at night. And the attacks are guerrilla-like. They're coming from across the borders, from across the places, wherever they're coming from, attack the villages, and then retreat and go back to wherever they're hiding. And that has been affecting the state very much in terms of development, in terms of economic development and all of that. And the people are now in IDP camps. As I speak with you, we have about 12 camps across the state accommodating these people that have been internally displaced. And so it's a lot of weight on the state. It's devastating for all of us. The governor particularly is not sleeping at all to ensure that this thing is brought to a halt.
All right. It really is a sad situation happening there in Benue State, and like you said, it's not just in Benue State. There are different parts of the country that are facing insecurity. Yesterday we had a guest who's a security expert, and part of his argument for the fight against insecurity is that the governors need to step up and do more to protect their citizens. And I'll ask your response to this. He did say that whilst the governor may not have command of security agencies of the military there, he does have some measure of control, so that he can be able to employ this for his benefit. And it's not just, he wasn't speaking in particular to Benue State government. In fact, we're talking about insecurity in general in the middle belt. So what would your response be to some of the people who say that the governors need to step up? The president did say governors need to step up to defend their citizens.
Well, yeah, that's been the discourse on the table. Mostly everybody rests and puts the bulk of protecting the people of the states. Of course, every governor is the chief security officer of their own state. And they have the right, they have the mandate, they have, even by election, the trust of the people to protect them. Now, most of the discussions of these people are based on the fact that security votes have been given to the governors. And so they're supposed to step up their game. They're supposed to spend this money. Now, let's talk about Benue State, for instance. When you don't have control, and a man who says, and I don't know whoever that was that came on your program, but spoke to the fact that despite the fact that you don't have control over the security apparatus, that you need to do much more. I don't know what else can be done. For instance, let me give you the Benue State Star. Now, if you calculate what comes in as security votes for the state, it's about 1.2 billion thereabout for the security votes. Now, let me tell you what my governor did. Out of this money, the man bought 100 Hilux trucks for security agencies in the state. You know how much a Hilux truck goes for right now, as we're talking in the market. The man bought about 600 motorbikes, so that in case the trucks can go beyond certain areas, the bikes are used to go into the hinterlands. Put all of that cost together. Now you're also talking about the welfare of those people who are going about fighting these insecurities on every front. It's still from this money you're taking care of IDPs and all of those who are internally displaced. How far can you go with that? Now we're talking about finances. In an economy where almost literally everything financial, the dollar has gone up and has devalued our money to a level that it practically looks like nothing. Now, the people who we're using here as our agents, the security agents. Now, when you want to put these people out there, for instance, you give an instruction that they should move to Zakibiam, for instance, and there's an instruction that comes from up that, okay, you are not going to Zakibiam, you're going to so place. We have heard people even on the social media, we have heard soldiers, we have heard lots of other people complaining, even on the social media. I began to see some videos on social media lately when officers have been complaining that their leaders are playing politics with people's lives. They have been instructed and told, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. Okay, how can you have control over what happens if you have these people within your control? You tell them, go and kill everybody involved, and then they receive another instruction that says, just contain them. Don't kill anyone.
Are you confirming to us that this is actually the position of what's happening in Benue State?
Let me land on this matter. Okay. Let me land on this matter first. Now, when you send someone who you don't have direct control over, for instance, and they disobey you, how do you punish them? You don't have control over what they say. I mean, they are not answerable to you directly. So you want to punish them for not containing or dealing with a certain people that are disturbing your people within a territory. How far can you go to punish them? They say, don't hire who you cannot fire. If you cannot punish someone who has done wrong, what level of control do you have over them? So you can be frustrated in spite of all the monies you have, all the efforts you're making. And I'm not saying that these people are negligent of what is happening. What I am trying to say is you need to have control of your own security apparatus. The Benue State governor has gone ahead to set up what you call the Benue Civil Protection Guards. There are about 5,000 of them. Now, in 23 local governments where you are having attacks all over the place, that's like a drop in the ocean. And secondly, these people are not allowed to carry certain level of weapons. How do you send somebody with a den gun to go and meet someone who has an AK-47 or 49? He may not be able to do much. Now, these are the things we're talking about. So if a man has security votes, let him also have control over who he sends out there. That's what we're advocating for. Personally, and of course, I think my governor as well advocates for what you call community policing. Allow the people to have control. So there's a certain level to which we can go with this. That's the point I'm trying to make. I must appreciate the people who are willing to cooperate in these security agencies. They've been doing their best as far as we're concerned from here. But there is so much a governor can do. But when you have, for instance, what is happening now is a deliberate, orchestrated, planned and deliberate attempt by some foreigners to take over the land of Nigeria. Whatever the reason is, I am a part of the plan. I don't know what is happening. But the plan is to displace the whole of this country. Beginning from the north, nobody is being spared. You have heard of killings all over the place. These people are deliberate. It's not what you leave to the state government alone. And that's the reason why we've been calling on the federal government to also up their game. The NSA kindly was in our state yesterday. He came in on the instruction of His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He came into the country and he came into the state. He looked at the situation on ground and he also agreed that the federal government needs to add more value to what is happening in the state. So by the time you put the bulk of the blame game on the table of the man who is the chief security officer of the state but does not have control over the security apparatus, it may not be 100% correct. There's how far a man can go in protecting his people with certain limited resources, especially human resources.
Now, Mr. Lorpev, just looking and analyzing, just taking everything you've said, it's obvious there are challenges in dealing with insecurity in Benue. The central government needs to streamline its policies or its plans, the security plans, with that of the state. Having said that, what are some of the implications? Benue is known as the food basket of the nation. What are some of the effects and implications of this unrest and killings and attacks we've witnessed in the last few months in Benue?
I'm so sorry, but I didn't hear the question. What's the question again, if you don't mind?
The effect of this insecurity on farming, on the people of Benue, the communities.
Now, thank you very much for that question, because this is what we've been putting out there. You know, one of the things we're fighting in Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, globally, is the question of food security. Benue State is the highest producers of yam in the whole country. We're the highest producers of cassava. We're the highest producers of soya beans. So this goes to tell you that the impact is devastating. Right now, as I speak to you, there's a place called Wole West in Benue State. That is where the main farming takes place. And I can tell you that for the past 14 to 15 years, about 8 council wards in that local government have been displaced. This is about 15 years back. And 8 of those council wards have been displaced. It's in recent times that some of them began to return to their places as a result of the efforts made by my government. Now, you go to Ukum local government where you have the highest yams. Now, this is where you have been having those recent attacks where you heard that about 70-something people, 72 people lost their lives on the attacks on Ukumi, Bagi, Toru, and Ogondo axis. Now, these things are happening to farmers, they call farmers, who most often than not use manual labor to be able to produce and put on the table. And yet, they have been doing so much. His Excellency came on board recently and is trying to introduce mechanized farming. And one of the most difficult things we're facing is to get these implements to these places because these people are not where they should be, in their farmlands. So the effect is devastating. It's affecting our economy, it's affecting, and I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time. And that's why I begin to wonder whether there is a calculative attempt, either from the international community or wherever these plans are coming from, to cause hunger in Nigeria and make them more reliant on other communities, international communities, or maybe borrow more and then become slaves. I don't know what that is. Secondly, one of the things affecting this, and I was trying to talk about this earlier on, is because of the mineral resources in our state. If you come to Benue State, I don't know if you've known about this, but out of the 43 mineral resources, solid mineral resources in Nigeria, Benue has about 34 plus. And the Konde axis of Benue, the mountainous area of Benue State, has many of these mineral resources. You see people coming from across the borders. These people don't even have cows sometimes, or they carry on their bodies weapons. And they come in bikes. Sometimes they come like 300 bikes with 2 people on each bike. That's about 600 people. And you're wondering what force can go against these people. And when they displace these people, when they displace our people, they take over these territories and begin to illegally mine these substances. That has happened across some of the African countries, and now it's coming into Nigeria. And we keep saying this time and again, it's just a matter of time before we begin to cry for food. Plateau State, For instance, most of the areas where people find is usually around the farmland area.
Are you there?
Areas.
Okay.
These are areas. And this is affecting a lot of the food, it's affecting food security. It's just a matter of time before we begin to starve in this country and even begin to depend on other people, and as a whole nation even become dependent for our feeding in this country. So it's affecting a lot of things beyond the displacement, where people have become helpless, where people don't have where to go to, where they have become dependent on the government for feeding. The rest of the country is going to suffer this, especially coming from the food basket of the nation.
And that's one thing that that's gotten a lot of Nigerians fearful, because it's scary to take note that the food basket, breaks down. Every other thing would definitely be affected. But there seem to have been divergent views. The divergent views that came from your principal, where he talked about communities being under siege. You mentioned about 7, if I did hear you correctly. And the governor said that these bandits or insurgents come and try as much as possible to claim the lands. But then again, the NSA came out yesterday during the visit to Benue State, and he said something quite different. So this led to divergent views. But let's quickly watch the video and let's see what he said. And then I'd like a reaction to it. And possible, you could also share with us what Benue State needs now in the interim. Let's watch.
Many of the countries have lost the fight against these evil people. Sudan today do not have government. Niger today is a military government. Mali is a military government. Burkina Faso is a military government. They face the same problem we are talking about. I worked in Afghanistan in the past. Today, those people who we went, the whole world went to confront, to fight, are the ones who are in charge of Afghanistan. Just to tell you, today in our country, I believe that we are not doing badly, given the massive nature of the problem and the challenge. There is no part of Nigeria today is controlled by them. There is no part of Nigeria is controlled and politically in charge by them. We have done fairly well. We are not yet over. Issue of security or insecurity is not an issue that you can instantly say you will address. We appeal to Nigerians to give us understanding. Appreciate the fact that there are people who are working and that it is a matter of time. If you see the way government is responding today, is different from what was happening in the past. This government is responsible. This government listens. This government will come. This government will identify, and this government will take issues and challenges and will continue to be better. This country has improved greatly from the time this government came. It's a process. It's a journey. It took 15 years or more to get to this mess we found ourselves. It probably will not be able to say in 1 year or 2 years that you will completely stop it. We have done very well. Issue of security is relative. Compare it with what was happening in the past and see where you are today. That's why you have seen us in Benue State. We were in Plateau. Wherever it is coming up, you will see us and we will respond appropriately. I want to assure you that this government is working, and we want to tell you that it's a matter that we will confront and will address.
All right, I'm sure you've seen that video. Like I rightly asked, there seem to have been divergent views, while the governor said that these insurgents are starting to claim territories and lands. I mean, the NSA there saying that there's no such thing. Can you share with us what your thoughts are and what Benue needs in the interim? This would be our final question.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. But I think most times it's good to read meanings within the context and not out of the context. Now, when the NSA was talking about having control and taking territorial control of areas, there was a time, I think if you remember when Boko Haram started in Nigeria, you had issues where it took over a whole local government and began to run that local government as an independent country of So he was talking about territorial takeovers, where you have people controlling a whole region, hoisting their flags, collecting taxes in those areas, and running the places as though it was their own government, outside of the Nigerian government. And I think that's what he was referring to when he was talking about control and taking absolute control of those regions. So if you read that, anybody who misinterprets that is taking that out of context. And that's the reason.
Great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that question was very key in order to find out, because from yesterday, members of the press had taken that information that there were divergent views. And we've seen reports, even from journalists who have gone there to cover. Our man is on ground currently as we speak, also ensuring that he gathers